meaning that when this is recorded and put into the lovely universe, that the content cannot be altered in any way and must be presented in its original format. So I'm going to introduce our speaker today. I'm going to read some of her bio. Adrianne studied at the world-renowned GIA, where she earned a GIA Graduate Gemologist diploma and Graduate Pearl diploma. She is a founding board member and education chair of the newly formed Black in Jewelry Coalition, and a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee member of the Women's Jewelry Association, New York City Metro chapter. In both roles, she enjoys mentoring gem and jewelry professionals with helping them with education, design, and gemstone questions. So I just thought Adrianne would be a great person, especially most of us are in the jeweler industry, talking about gemstones and the lovely diamonds. What your opinions about diamonds, lab grown or natural diamonds or diamonds in general. And I just met her over the last year, and she gave me so much great advice, especially about sapphires, because I didn't know what I didn't know. So, you know, sometimes jewelers, in my experience, it's not always easy, you know, knowing when you're buying gems, what to look for, all of the great, the properties, what you need to know, what you need to educate your client or your customer. So it's really great to have someone so knowledgeable and so passionate about her subject and being a scientist or gems, because that's what gemologists are. They're gem scientists. They know exactly what's going on. So the format of today, Adrianne's going to talk by herself, and then she's going to present her slides. And then she did say if people want to use the chat to say if there's any questions, and we can interject, and then afterwards be a question and answer session, just with the group, right? If you are not speaking, you can put yourself on mute. That just helps out. Again, for the new people, just to let you know that it's recorded. How did this all come together, Black Jewelers Network? Okay, just to put it out there, not everyone here is Black, and it's fine. It's all inclusive. The Black Jewelers Network came out from last year, looking at the diversity and inclusion issues, or not so much issues, in the jewelry industry. This is done on a voluntary basis, and just to try to bridge the gaps in the social capital for some jewelers who are Black, or, you know, from, I don't like using BAME, but from other minorities, and also first generational jewelers who don't have that infrastructure, don't have always that access to learn certain things about the jewelry industry. And people try to make you buy lots of courses about, I'm like, not about this life. So as again, I'm going to present you with Adrianne. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra, so much for this invitation to speak to your lovely audience over the pond, my friends over the pond. I find that you guys have been so gracious and supportive of the initiatives that we have going on in the States as well, and just the common goal and aims to expand our presence in the industry, make sure that we are getting equitable distribution of things, we're educated, and we're supporting one another. And we're doing that over here as well, and internationally with the Black and Jewelers Coalition. We also have an international, you know, we're international, so we invite you as well to join us if you like. And we're looking forward to fostering relationships and making sure that we have our space and our voices are amplified in this industry. A lot of times we are behind the scenes in the industry and people don't know we're there. And that's fine if that's intentional, but we also want people to know that we're there. We want to support one another and make sure that we are being educated and we're being paid correctly and treated fairly in the industry. So I thank you again for inviting me to speak to you about my favorite gem, which is the diamond. And this is the month of April. It's the birthstone for April. And I get very excited talking about diamonds. And I know a lot of people have questions about diamonds, natural diamonds versus lab-grown diamonds. And I'm discussing that today because people have questions, as they should. And people always ask me which material is best. And I'm here to discuss that today, and also to get your opinion about which diamond that you prefer or don't prefer, and the reasons why. So I'm going to share my screen with you. and present some slides. Does anyone have any questions so far before I get started? Okay, then I will share my screen. And I'm going to talk about the history of diamonds, the pros and cons of natural diamonds, who invented lab-created diamonds, the pros and cons of lab-created diamonds, and how to choose. Okay. So the birthstone of April is diamond. And initially diamonds were mined in India. That's where the first diamonds, recorded diamonds, were found. And for several centuries, that's where most diamonds came from that we know of right now. But as time went on and more sites were found, namely Brazil was the next place where diamonds were found, and then in Africa, and then in Russia and Canada and Australia. But right now we have, I have on this, this map for you, little diamonds that are sprinkling across the places where diamonds are particularly mined right now. And it's basically 4 places, 4 continents, I should say, on the earth where we're mining diamonds. So let's just keep going. And diamonds are really formed in the mantle of the earth. And that's where they're basically, I use the term cooked, that's where they are developed over 3.5 billion years ago. And through some type of disruption, they come up through the kimberlite pipes, which is this triangular upside down triangle right here. And they're, you know, sent to the surface of the earth, and that's and that's where they're mined. Regular gemstones that are not diamonds are usually formed in the crust. So diamonds are valuable, one, because not so much because they're very rare, because there are a lot of diamonds in the earth, but gemstone quality diamonds are rare and they're very difficult to get to. That's what makes them rare, but they're also rare and valuable because scientists use diamonds to find out information about the earth, about the part of the earth that they can't get to. And diamonds contain a lot of inclusions that tell us about the earth. They tell us about the age of the earth. They tell us about maybe how earth was created, what was going on 3.5 billion years ago, what other minerals are within the earth and their value in terms of how man can basically use them in contemporary applications. And that's what to me makes a diamond valuable. Not so much the gem quality, but just storytelling and the things that it encapsulates. So the pros and cons of natural diamonds are that they are true miracles of nature and older than life itself on this planet. The earth was created maybe 4.6 billion years ago. The oldest diamonds that we found so far in Canada are 3.6 billion years. So that makes them special right there. Only a small amount of natural diamonds have actually, you know, broke surface of the earth, or we've been able to get to. In Russia, they have over 900 million carats that are still just waiting to be mined. And that's information from Russia. We don't even know what's going on in other parts of the world. We just can't get to these diamonds. So there's a lot of them, but they're just so hard to get to. In fact, you have to mine 10 million pounds of ore just to get to a 1 carat quality gemstone diamond. And that's a lot. And that's what makes them rare, the gem quality. Another pro of diamonds is it's an opportunity to wear something that was created all those billions of years ago. That's something special in itself. And people feel connected to diamonds. People over the centuries have felt powers, that metaphysical powers associated with diamonds, and people feel very protected and special when they wear diamonds. Diamonds as engagement rings is really a newer tradition that really became popular in the 1950s through a De Beers marketing campaign. But in the 1500s, diamonds were very hard to get to. They weren't prolific like they are now. And the first engagement ring was given to someone in the 1500s. And it started a tradition, but only amongst people who were very wealthy. Natural diamonds are heirloom quality and they have a sentimentality, unlike a lab created diamond. And it's something you can pass down to family members or to loved ones as a token of love and appreciation, to mark milestones and to be celebratory. And like snowflakes, no two diamonds are alike. From the smallest, most minuscule difference in a gemstone, when you look at it under a microscope, no two are alike like snowflakes, like I said, and that's also what makes it very special. The cons of diamonds, there is a finite supply. So even though I just mentioned there are like hundreds of millions of carats underground, we still can't get to them. And I'm not certain that man will create a way to get to these diamonds without really disrupting the earth any more than they feel is safe. And once they're gone, they cannot be replenished. And diamonds can be expensive at the retail level. And we have a lot of simulants for diamonds. You have CZ, you have moissanite, you have white topaz, white sapphire, spinel. So those are some of the things that could be a substitute for a diamond because they are expensive. Does anyone have any questions right now?
Okay. I do.
Okay.
I think you used the word which I don't understand. Did you say stimulant? Are you saying
simulant?
Sorry?
I'm sorry, I should have said simulant if it didn't sound like that.
So does that mean a substitute? Because I always get confused with the terminology. So substitute for the diamonds. Is that what?
Yes. So simulant means it's something that appears to look like a diamond when you're eyeballing it. And the difference between that and a synthetic is that synthetic is made out of the same type of material. So it's the same on a chemical level. A simulant just looks the same. And a cubic zirconium would be a simulant because it doesn't have the same properties. Whereas something like a synthetic sapphire it's corundum, but it was created by man. So it has the same properties as a sapphire, a corundum. They all have the synthetic corundum or synthetic sapphire. They have the same chemical properties, but one is man-made and one is not. Same thing with diamonds, which I'll talk about next with lab created.
Can I just ask a quick question? Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wondered, so kind of when they're like, this might be a bit of a silly one, but when they're like mining them, is it only what they can access at the moment, which is what is used, or is it they have to wait for them to come up naturally, or do they actually drill down into the crust? I don't know if that's a silly one, but
no, that's not silly. It's a good question because it's both. So some diamonds are great. I call them great because they come up by themselves. They land in in water, so they'll be in the ocean, and they make their ways to rivers. We call that alluvial. And you can pan that like gold. You can go in with a pan and sift through the gravel, and you'll have diamonds. Diamonds are very dense, and they will fall to the bottom of that sifting. So that's a very easy way to mine for diamonds, and it's done all over the world. That's a small artisanal mining. And you don't need the heavy machinery, which is large scale mining. So it's not a silly question at all. So you have both things going on. Sometimes it takes about 1 million years for the diamond to make its way from the mantle up to the surface. And when I say surface, if you take a look at the illustration I have on the screen, that's not really hitting the crust of the earth. So that's where you have man drilling down to get to the top of that cone as you see it. So that's drilling, and sometimes diamonds are found that way. And then sometimes they're just laying out, like in Namibia, along the coast of the Orange River there, you have diamonds that are just laying about in the sand, and you can just go along and sift for that. Now, of course, we can't just walk onto that beach and do that. that's protected by the government, and they do a lot of mining there. And you have private companies mining there. But sometimes diamonds are just that available where they're just out like that. And other times you have to dig for them. So they make their way through the surface or somewhat lower, like 400 miles down, sometimes like that. And then that's large scale mining. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So let's see, anybody else? All righty, I'm gonna keep going. All righty, so we talked about pros and cons of natural diamonds, and these are lab created diamonds. So as you can see from the photograph I have here, these are De Beers Lightbox lab created diamonds. They're beautiful. In fact, they're spectacular. And they cost about $800 a carat, according to De Beers website. And lab created diamonds were first introduced or first created by General Electric in the 1950s. And they didn't create gem quality diamonds at first. They were only industrial quality diamonds that people use in practical applications. Diamonds are used in a lot of different industries. They're used in medicine, they're used in technology, communications, they're used in tools. If you've ever seen drilling, like people drilling into the side of a mountain, and they have this big spiral, this big drill. On the outside of those big drills is diamond dust and pieces of diamond that can cut through that rock. So diamonds are used, you know, in everyday life all over the world. And this is, you know, this is what it was created for at first, but then they got it in their head. They're like, well, maybe we should try to create like a diamond for, you know, for gem quality. And it took a long time. It took a very long time. De Beers got involved in that. And so now De Beers and General Electric are the two innovators for lab created diamonds. But nowadays we have people all over the world setting up factories, they call them, where they're creating lab created diamonds in these factories. And it's a infinite supply. It takes anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks for the proper formation of a rough lab grown diamond. And then at that point, the rough lab grown diamond is cut and polished just like a natural diamond. And the difference between lab grown and natural is on a microscopic level. So if you're looking at it and you're just looking at it on your finger, you're not going to be able to tell the difference without some type of microscope, at least 10 power. And the differences will lie in the inclusions that appear in the lab grown and the natural diamond. And that in a trained eye, usually a gemologist or someone who specializes in diamond, can typically tell the difference between the natural grown and the lab created, because lab created diamonds, just like natural, will absorb or grow with the environment in which they're being grown. So for example, the lab grown diamonds are grown in like some type of crucible, and whatever is there will make its way into the diamond sometime. Just like when a diamond is being formed in a mantle, there are different inclusions, different minerals around that diamond that could make their way in the diamond. And that would be a way to tell the difference. Otherwise, you can't really tell the difference between the two. And that makes it attractive for some people. Some people don't like the idea of mining for diamonds. They think it's disruptive to the earth. And this is why lab created diamonds have become very popular. Did anyone have any questions?
Yeah, sorry, it's me again. So there's all this thing about conflict free and ethical. Are you going to go into that? Because sometimes there's a bit of it's quite tricky, isn't it? You know, talking about lab grown diamonds, saying that it's more ethical or conflict free or more humane than natural diamonds of the way how it's mined.
Yes, I can definitely go into that. So the thing about that is some of these terms have not really been verified. Conflict free, yes. So you're not having diamonds that are being grown in the lab to fund wars that we know of. yet, right? So the natural diamonds have been used to fund wars and to maybe money launder and things like that. The Kimberley process and some of the processes that have been put in place now have mitigated a lot of that. And of course, we can never say that it mitigated everything, because that would be unrealistic to think that it doesn't still exist. But this is why I say to people, if you want to buy a natural diamond, you can do two things. You can buy a diamond that was predated before these wars took place from maybe a secondhand store, or you can do your homework and investigate the company that you want to buy your diamond from and see what their policies are, if they have these practices in place that align with your ethos and what you believe in. And that's a way that you can protect yourself. You know, if you want to be very, very specific about who you're buying your diamond from, then I suggest you do your homework and you know, look at that company. What are they doing? What have they done in the past 10 years? Are they giving back to the communities in which they extract the diamonds from? How are those communities being supported by the diamonds? So that's something that you can do if you have an issue with that. The other thing about lab created diamonds that people are not aware of is that it does use a lot of energy to create one diamond. You're using a lot of water, you're using a lot of electricity. So it's not completely eco-friendly, but you have to pick your battle. Like, what is more important to you? Is it making sure that you're not, you know, you think you're not funding, you know, helping to fund a war, or is it not tearing up the earth? Or like, you have to pick the thing that is more important to you, because we're not going to get away from disrupting anything when we're purchasing, especially luxury items, which is what a diamond is. None of us need to have diamonds or any gemstones, actually. So these are luxury goods, and you know, you just make do your homework and make a conscious choice about which one of these things is most important to you and what aligns with your own ethos. So pick your battle.
It just seems like the jewelry trade, we just can't win. We can't win, can we? Because, you know, like if it's something like a t-shirt or whatever, or I don't know, like another goods, you know, you can go to the artisan, you can go to that material, you can name the tree,
right?
But because in the jewelry industry, there's so many changing hands, moving parts, I feel like some people are just like, oh, well, it's not ethical, but if you're not ethical. And then just like when I try to tell people, it's like a journey. I don't like using that word, or it's like a series of decisions. It's like, I like I said, pick your battle. It's not a straightforward, easy process. So, but all I can do as a person is try to just inform, or, you know, my clients, whatever, as much as possible. And then they can make that informed choice, I guess.
I agree, because for example, someone said that to me one time about jewelry. Oh, I want to buy my lab grown diamond because, you know, I don't want to disrupt the earth. Well, the diamond, you're setting the diamond in gold or silver, some type of metal. So therefore you've already disrupted the earth with that process. And you're talking to me on a telephone right now, or we're on a computer. You have minerals in your devices. So we can't get away from mining. We're mining. Things are mined all the time, but you can make conscious decisions about it by just doing your homework and trying to lessen your impact. But the other thing is lab created diamonds, and I'll talk about it in the next slide. If let's say lab created diamonds really took off and everybody wanted to do lab created diamonds, now you're putting a whole industry of people, artisans, out of work. And some people are mining diamonds because that's all that is available to them. If you take that away from them, they have nothing else that they can make a living from. So we have to be very careful about that ecosystem and what we're doing to that group of people who depend on diamonds for a living. So that takes me to our next slide.
So I'm just one more thing. I'm just looking at the lovely chat. Catherine Bishop, Catherine with a K, fascinated by DB shift from lab grown diamond for industry to fashion diamonds. Very interesting that they are not marketing lab grown diamonds for engagement rings.
And that's a very good point. That's a very good point, because I personally feel that lab created diamonds are more suited for fashion jewelry and not for sentimental gifts or engagements or weddings or the like. I feel like it's more like something, maybe you want to travel with that jewelry. Maybe it's like, but it's, you know, $800 a carat is very inexpensive for something that looks like a diamond. But some of the lab created diamond jewelry is quite expensive. And I don't see that the price is that much cheaper than a natural diamond. But again, it goes to your ethos. Like, what do you believe in? If you really feel like lab created is best for your lifestyle or your beliefs, then, you know, the only thing is we don't know how lab created diamonds will perform in 10 years. We know how diamonds perform because we have historical data, but we don't have any data on lab created diamonds right now.
Interesting. One more thing, Catherine with a C says, are you going to share the slides? It's up to you. It's your content. And number two, DB has a huge stock of diamonds, so that they need to shift it, I think. So I think Catherine is saying like DB has an interest of lots of diamonds, but they need, I'm guessing it's natural diamonds. Is that Catherine? But they need to shift? I'm guessing. Is it a yes or no? Yes. Okay, great. So yeah, that was that point there. And Catherine with a K says it's all about market control and pricing. So it's about the marketing. It's about marketing the information to the consumer, isn't it? And their choice and their ethos and their lifestyle and what it means to them. And I think as jewelers or as a gemologist or people in the trade, this is my personal opinion, we just need to give people the most accurate information, and they can make their own judgments, I guess.
I agree. All you can do is educate people about give them the facts. And I can't make you buy a natural diamond, or I can't make you buy a lab created diamond. I can't convince you of that. I can give you, it's great to have choices, and I can give you the information, and then you decide what's best for you. At the end of the day, it's about what's best for you. But just be mindful of the impact that your choices make. And so I can also give you that type of information about, if I make this choice, who is impacted by this choice? If I make that choice, who's impacted by that choice? I can also give you that. But to say which one is best, it's best, what's best for you is the answer. What's best for you?
Okay, I'll let you go on.
Okay, so the pros and cons of lab created diamonds. So one of the pros is because man is creating the material and improving techniques all the time, the potential to have any color, size, and shape increases. And that means that, you know, you might be in the market for like a cushion cut pink diamond that's 5 carats and it's internally flawless. You could probably get the lab to come some close to that. Whereas if you were looking for that in a natural diamond, it may take you 3 or 4 years. It might take you 10 years to get that, because it's what's available, what Earth created. I remember reading a story about Princess Diana. One of the Saudi princes wanted to present her with a pink diamond necklace, and it was taking years to collect the diamonds that all matched up, were all the same color and size to create what he wanted. And I don't think they ever got there, because that if you're doing a lab created diamond, then that's really like making a recipe, right? So you put in the parameters that you want to use, you introduce the different types of conditions to create that color that you want. So you use more oxygen, you use more this, you use more that, you adjust the crystal lattice, you get this color, that color. That's what you can do with a lab created diamond. Whereas with Mother Nature, it's what she produced 3.5 billion years ago. That's what you're stuck with. So that's a pro. Slightly lower in price for a diamond. De Beers has a nice price scale, but again, like I said, I've seen lab created diamonds in the thousands for maybe like 25% less than a natural diamond. That's not attractive to me, but again, it goes back to your ethos. Like if you have to have that lab created diamond, and then you're getting it for a lesser price, and that's great for you. More options for better clarity than a natural diamond. So again, because they're controlling the environment when they create the diamond, and they're not depending on Mother Nature, it's easier to get the type of clarity and polish and all of that you want within the diamond. The cons of lab created diamonds, there isn't a seemingly infinite supply. And that's an indication that they're not rare. So the rarity factor that you have with diamond is not present in lab created diamonds. If the demand grows too much for lab created diamonds, the potential to take work away from the artisanal miner increases. And I spoke about that before. If everyone has, so, you know, if this increases and people want natural diamonds less, then you're going to be literally taking food out of people's mouths to meet the demand.
Yeah, I have a question to ask.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like some people who champion natural diamonds always talk about Botswana, right? And how great Botswana is and stuff like that. But in my head, like, I know when it's all finite, right? The diamond. So once the diamond's gone in Botswana, what's going to be the industry? How the schools, how is the infrastructure of that country going to go on? You know what I mean? And I feel that's probably the only country in the African continent which is doing really well with their diamonds. So I'm just like, Botswana is a nice case study, but what's the recovery process when all the diamonds gone, or when people are not buying natural diamonds?
That's a good question. From what I know about Botswana, they rely very heavily on the diamond industry. Also, De Beers has moved there. They've moved their headquarters there. I feel like after the diamonds are gone, so that we're not going to see that in our lifetime, I think. They have a seemingly endless supply. They don't, but it seems that way. I feel like they've built up their infrastructure such as that they can have other industries going on after the diamonds leave. They really improved their medical facilities there. Their education system is great, and they have cutting centers there for diamonds. So I feel like if they, run out of diamonds or can't get to them anymore, then maybe other countries can send their goods there to be graded and cut there. So there's that industry. But I feel like they're pretty strong, and they probably have done a projection on what to do after. That's a good question, and now I'm going to look into that. So that might be another talk. What are they doing after? And I know that they have a lot of they are big proponents of education, in particular medical education and medical innovations. A lot of them are going on there. In fact, I work at University of Pennsylvania, and we have a lot of programs there where we train their doctors, and we have exchange programs back and forth between here and Botswana.
Okay, great intro. I've got someone in the chat. Is it Ashley Teen 121? She said, don't know. I've heard some express opinions that lab-grown diamonds, I believe HPHT, are more brittle. Is that true?
So lab-grown diamonds are, I don't know about being more brittle, but they are slightly softer. And so if we look at the Mohs scale, which is the scale of hardness, diamond is at 10. And since lab created diamonds are slightly below 10, maybe like 9.8, it's negligible. However, when you get that diamond on a cutting wheel, which is what we have here, people who are the diamantaires know that they have to make adjustments for that particular type of material. This is a good question.
Okay, I'll let you get on.
Oh, okay. So the other thing is the cons of lab created diamonds. We don't have a history of how they're going to perform at the resale level right now. It's not enough data out. I know that if you're having your diamond insured, that it's really about market value, like retail value, that you can have it replaced. But I know that diamonds, like when you go to resell them, of course you're not going to get the retail value, but they perform well. The lab created diamonds, we don't know yet, and it seems to me that the value could diminish in the way of CZ and moissanite, which was very expensive when it came out, because whenever anything is invented new, you have the equipment. Most people, that's where the cost lies in the beginning of paying for that equipment. And then once the product has been around for a while, the price goes down of that product. And I see lab created diamonds having the same type of history as CZ and moissanite, where the price is going to drop dramatically. But that's just my prediction, just based on other things that have been new and have not performed well. Like, for example, the VCR, when that first came out, it was terribly expensive. And then once it was mass produced and more people were able to afford it, the price dropped dramatically. I see the same thing happening with lab created diamonds, because they're not, it's just an infinite supply. They can make as many as they want. And I don't feel like anyone's going to control the supply of lab created diamonds the way that they control the supply of natural diamonds. And that is, so this screen here that you're seeing is just showing the natural diamond seeds. That's how they start out in a lab grown diamond process. And what they do is they take diamond slices and they grow them on plates. And the next picture where you see the black residue around, that's the diamond inside that residue. And then on the right side is after that residue has been cleaned off. So that's what a lab created diamond looks like. Oh, it's almost like cultured pearling. And I've heard people say cultured diamonds, which is not a correct term, but it is the same type of ideology from that, that you're using a seed from the natural object and growing around it. Almost like cloning. It's the same kind of concept. So that concludes my talk about natural and lab created diamonds.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Much apprecited. Yeah, I have lots of questions. You know me, I can talk, but I'm really interested in what the crowd is saying. And I let them go first because I've just wow, thank you, so much knowledge. If you'd like to say anything, you can speak now or put it in the chat.
Thank you so much. That was really, really interesting, really enjoyable.
Thank you. Who's that speaking?
Natalie Markwell, sorry.
Okay, I'm going to make an adjustment to my screen, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. I'm very passionate about diamonds. They're one of my favorite gems, not so much for the gem quality, quite frankly, but I really enjoy all the other ways that diamonds are used in our everyday lives, and the properties that they possess. And really the public's fascination with diamonds just through the centuries, not just even contemporary fascination, but all through the centuries, how diamonds have impacted humans and the metaphysical properties that a lot of people believe that diamonds possess. And right now, I've read that metaphysical properties of gems have become more popular because of the times that we're in. We're in really uncertain times, and people are looking for things to make them feel, to improve their mood and to improve their feelings. And diamond is one of the as you would imagine, people attribute a lot of power to diamonds because it's about strength and it's about clarity. It's about love. It has a lot of attributes that people feel very strongly about. And I don't think that lab created diamonds could have that same metaphysical property to them because they haven't taken all that time to form and the energy is not there. Even though the conditions, the pressure and heat, that's what's used to create lab created diamond. Also, lab created diamonds are also that do have the benefit of time, like the billions of years that it took to create that, and all of that energy stored into such a tiny object or tiny material. I feel that that does, exude something to the wearer, even if you're just looking at it. Looking at diamonds can be very powerful for people as well, as even touching them or just looking at them. I know for me, it's very interactive for me. And I tell people a lot too, when they're selecting a diamond, a natural diamond, to pick the one that talks to you. And if it doesn't talk to you, don't pick it. And that really goes for any gem, not just diamonds, but I just really feel like gemstones talk to us if you're paying attention. And if it doesn't for you and you don't believe it, I don't care. I wouldn't judge you for that. But I just feel like a lot of people feel that way and really benefit from that, from those metaphysical properties.
Okay, I'm just checking with the group before I go off on like a tangent. Anyone
Hi.
else?
Yes, hi. This is Ayoka. How are you?
Hi, you okay?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I just want to say thank you for sharing more in-depth knowledge about lab created and being able to explain, like, basically people have to make their own conscious decision on how they're going to make their purchase, or based off of ethics, because that's something that has a lot to do with my paper that I wrote about. And it highlighted, well, is it a preference? There's some industry experts that don't even consider lab created diamonds. So I want to say thank you for that in-depth reasoning on it, because it's a very controversial topic, and some people have no idea how to explain whether they want it or not, or consumers it's very tricky right now.
Yeah, it is. And I don't make judgments about why people select what they select. It's not for me to judge why you're selecting a natural diamond and why you're selecting a lab created diamond. That's for you, because you have to live with your decisions. Like anything else that we consume, it's a consumable. And it's we know where our bananas come from, we know where our apples come from. Sometimes you know where your cotton comes from that's in your clothing. But a lot of things, if you peel back the layers, a lot of industries are not that eco-friendly. They're not people-friendly. The best thing that we can do as consumers is do your homework. If you're really, really that concerned about things, do your homework and make your decisions like that, because we can't control the way that you're touching something every day that has not been done well, or people haven't been considered. But we're not going to know everything. So for a diamond, and something like, especially an engagement ring, you're buying something that's so expensive, you have the opportunity now more than ever, we all do, to do our research and make the decisions that work with our lifestyle, that work with our ethos, and that we can live with. So do your homework. And you can't let people tell you, don't buy that, or don't buy lab diamonds, don't buy natural diamonds. No, it's for you. As long as you're not buying something illegally, it's for you to decide what you can live with, because you have to look at it every day. You have to live with it. And your decision impacts someone's life, or has impacted someone's life. Because if you really think about it, something that has grown in the earth for billions of years, it made its way to the surface. It didn't fracture or break up, and it made it here intact. And then an artist took it and polished it and created it and cut it. And then it made its way to the sales floor. We have to honor that. That's quite a journey to make.
Yeah.
It's quite a journey, and we have to honor that journey. And as long as you're doing it ethically with peace of mind, because jewelry goes through so many hands, from the gems and minerals, from the time that it leaves the earth until it gets to the consumer. It goes through a lot of hands that you may never know. And each journey along that value chain impacts someone. Now, I'm a scientist. I love lab created diamonds. The concept of it is fascinating, because we get to recreate something in a lab that took 3 billion years to create. That's fascinating to me, but it's not fascinating enough for me to want to possess it. But that's me. It's a lot of people who are really fascinated with that, and they're like, I want a piece of that. And I don't tell them don't have a piece of it, because it is fascinating.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't, and lab created diamonds were really not meant for jewelry in the beginning. They were meant to be used in applications that we need diamonds for, because diamonds they're heat conductors. They take a beating well. We used a diamond window to go into outer space. So they take that heat and pressure well. So lab created diamonds have a place, and in jewelry they have a place. But I think a lot of people, and this is why they haven't taken off the way that they want them to, is a lot of people want the sentimentality and that heirloom and that wonder of nature as an engagement ring or something that they're going to have for a long time. So that's the advice I give to people, because they ask me what would I choose, and that's why I choose natural diamonds. Now, if someone gave me a lab created diamond tennis necklace or earrings or bracelet, yeah, give it to me. I'll take that. You know, but for my engagement ring or something I'm going to have a long time and maybe pass on to my children, I want a natural diamond for that. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like heirloom and vintage diamonds, to be honest with you, because I just like the way that they were cut by hand. The facets are chunky. They look really great. I like the way they look in the light, in the sunlight. So that's what I like. But I always tell people, please, we're so fortunate as women to have choices. So let's use them in all the ways that we're able to, because it hasn't always been that way for women. So let's use our choices.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I see something in chat by Catherine with a K. I don't know if Catherine wants to speak about this, but I'm just going to summarize. She says that it's going to be really interesting to monitor RE resell long-term value of lab-grown diamonds, sparking some ideas and thoughts now what that might mean for real diamonds in the long run too. Already the real. Okay, great. I don't have to say it. So Catherine, do you want to take the stage? Great.
Sorry, yeah. It's going slightly off tangent, but it's more because I know that Adrianne does some really fun stuff in terms of even how she obviously markets her own services on like TikTok and Clubhouse and things like that. And I just wondered if you had any thoughts on, if we're thinking about the future customer like Gen Z and even like Gen Alpha, like today's kids, when they grow up, do you think that they're going to see diamonds in the same way that we do? Like, do you already find the interactions are slightly different that you might have on TikTok, say, with that versus like a 30 or 40-year-old?
That's a very good question. Actually, my daughter, who's 20, and I were having this conversation. She asked me, why couldn't I talk to her on the phone? She's taking midterms. And I told her, I'm preparing for this talk. And she says, well, what's it about? So we started talking about diamonds. And she's like, like, I don't have to have that.
Yeah.
She's like, I really don't have to have a natural diamond. You know, I don't care about it. You know, I could spend my money on something else. And I feel like that generation is more about experiences. And those NFTs that are coming out now, you know, that's the big thing. So I'm of a generation where diamonds for me, first of all, weren't available to me because of my socioeconomic class.
Yeah.
Okay. And just nobody in my family had diamonds, right? So I was fascinated by them, I think, because of lack of access. But the more I learned about them and what they were and what they weren't, I become more fascinated with them. So I started collecting them for that reason. But diamonds, as we know, and jewelry in particular, is also used to denote class. It's used to denote income, you know, well, that's the same thing, income class, availability. Some people look at the size of a diamond to say how much someone loved that person because they were able to buy such a diamond, you know, that 3-month salary guideline that they put out. So diamonds have been used in contemporary times to just denote, okay, I can look at that person, they have diamonds on, I can tell this, that, and the other about the person. And jewelry in general, but diamonds a lot. It's like a code. It's almost like a code. And women, I feel like, and some men use it to tell a story about themselves. And men sometimes use it, if they're able to talk about how much money they have and what they could spend it on. So these kids, like my daughter's age, they don't care about any of that, right? They're using other things to show who they are and what they care about. And they're more concerned about the environment.
Yeah.
They're concerned about their happiness. And these are things that my generation wasn't really that concerned about, you know? So it'll be very interesting to see when she gets to be maybe 30 years old and thinking about marriage, what does she want to use to indicate that she's ready to be married or is married? So I have another interesting thing that I was thinking about the other day with the onslaught of same-sex marriages.
Yeah.
What I have noticed is that the men that I see that have the engagement rings, their diamonds are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've noticed that too? And
Yeah.
I said, and I'm wondering if that's gender related or if it's just, I don't know. It's fascinating to me. And sometimes I want to ask, but I don't want to be offensive. So I have not asked these, but I might do like a show or like a Clubhouse episode about that. I think it's fascinating. The men are getting the big diamonds, but if you know your history of diamonds, also men were wearing diamonds first, and then women started wearing diamonds centuries afterwards. So this goes right back to men getting the big diamonds once again.
Yeah,
So,
I think that would be really fascinating. I'd love to tune into that kind of conversation.
Oh, you have? Okay.
There we are.
So
Thank you.
most of the same-sex male couple that I have known, they have decided that they will not have children. They both work in high-paying jobs, so they can indulge in everything that they want with huge budgets.
That makes sense.
That really is what they do. I mean, the one I spoke to.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's logical to me because I see the rings. I'm like, oh my, oh my God. But also, I feel like the men. I'm talking about the men who are, and I'm going to just say it, brave enough to go out and just be who they are and live in their real lives and marry one another. Are already probably very successful, and that's why they've been able to do this also. So it kind of makes sense that they have this larger diamond, but that's just and they don't want lab created; they want real diamonds. So it's fascinating.
They want the real shit, as they say.
They do. They want the real, and they get I mean, they're like 3, 4, 5 carats. I love it, but I'm like, wow. And I always see that the women. And I don't know, it could be socioeconomic class. Again, we know that men out earn women. So there's that, right? We don't earn as much as men. And I noticed that women, same-sex marriages, the diamond is much smaller. Because a lot of times both women get diamond rings. A lot of times I've seen that a lot, both women getting diamond rings, and they're significantly smaller than the ones that I've seen on the men. But that would be that's something that I'm interested in pursuing as a research project because I think it's fascinating. That's just how my mind works. And I was going to talk about that more on Clubhouse last night, but I didn't really have a chance. So I would love for you guys to send me questions afterwards about that, or tell me your stories about or your experiences with that. I call it a phenomena.
Okay, I've got something from Carice. I don't know if Carice, you want to say yours or do you want me to say it for you? Carice, maybe. Okay, I'll say it for Carice. Okay, so Carice said, in terms of, I can read it out, perfect. In terms of consumers doing their research, what do you consider to be the most reliable independent sources?
So we have like consumer protection sources here. You could look at, I would look at GIA for information because they're nonprofit and they don't have a stake in the game. You could also, I say you could look at the website of the company that you're interested in buying from, because even though the company is writing it, you would think that it would be biased. They should be disclosing what's really going on, and people have reports that they do that they can give to the public about what their practices are and what their sources are. That should be really listed on their page. In terms of independent, it's kind of hard to find an independent source to do that. But a consumer protection agency, if you have that, would be a good place to start, or a Federal Trade Commission, which is what we have here in the States. They typically a government, that's not really independent, but they monitor a lot of activity of sales that's under their jurisdiction. I hope that answers your question, Carice.
Well, I don't know if it's for Carice, but maybe Catherine with the K, I'll probably put you on the spot because of your great stature in the jewelry industry. Who regulates these diamonds in these UK streets? I don't know. Who do we go to? Because usually I just go to a lab and here's a diamond and they just tell me and then I hope for the best. And obviously I've got my lab reports depending if it's a lab grown diamond or a natural diamond. It's usually GIA, and if it's a lab grown, it's IGI.
Oh, Cassandra, GIA is now doing lab reports for lab grown diamonds.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, Adrianne, sorry, I was cleaning my teeth. I'm about to go out.
Sorry, put you on the spot.
I also just heard your dog there. I love your dog so much.
Thank you.
Cassandra, I mean, yeah, if you're getting diamond reports, there's obviously like the main labs that you mentioned, the GIAs and GEMAs and so on. There's also more independent ones. Some people here might have come across IGR, which is interesting because it's a women-run lab in London.
Oh.
They're actually on quite a big campaign at the moment. They're doing a lot of activity on Instagram. They're promoting quite a lot of independent designers and women designers as well. So you can have like independent laboratories, but I think even from the lab grown point of view, only a couple of companies, again, I think GIA are maybe the main one, and SGL labs perhaps in Hatton Garden.
Okay.
Probably the only laboratories that might do lab grown diamond certs as well. So if you have got a lab grown, you can take it in and get it certified.
Okay.
Birmingham Assay Office also used to do a lot of gem valuations as well. They might be another one that does them, and they might be more affordable in somewhere like Birmingham, because you might also get that regional discount as well sometimes, but don't quote me
I will
on
look
that.
into those discounts. Okay, great.
Same way that like getting something hallmarked in Sheffield or Scotland is cheaper than it is in London because the hallmark isn't as prestigious. Yeah.
I might get a new hallmark then.
Yeah,
Great.
I mean, this is why, but you know, because people go for London because it's like a London Assay Office, but I think probably Edinburgh or Sheffield will be a bit cheaper as well. Monica Veneda used to get all her jewelry hallmarked in Birmingham because it's cheaper. So like, it's quite interesting. It's an interesting one.
No, sorry to put you
That's
on
all
the
right.
spot, I'm just thinking who is like the central body, because you know, like we have our like you know, there's 4 assay offices in the just for our American or whoever are in the world. When we get our you know, metal like silver or gold, we need to get it hallmarked, and I guess it might be a similar process. So that's what we mean by the assay offices. But in my head, I was like, who is the assay office equivalent for the gems? But I just feel like it's less, not regulated, but it's just a bit more scattered, because we just go to individual labs. You know what I mean?
And I think also like the diamond suppliers. So if you went to somewhere like Hennig Diamonds, again, like just thinking of like a diamond supplier, or one of the guys in 100 Hatton Garden that are at the bourse, and you ask them for a certificate, like most of the times, again, I think you can specify if you want a diamond with a cert, like I want a GIA cert, or I want an IGI cert, or if it's a really fancy, really fancy coloured stone that it's like a Gobelin cert from Switzerland, but you're paying for that certificate as well. You always pay a premium, I think, to have like a GIA or IGI or GEMA cert versus like a smaller independent laboratory, just because again they like are seen as the world authorities, I suppose.
Yeah, it's all about reputation, because if I'm doing engagement rings, 9 out of 10 I always get certification, because I just want to be confident, like anything happens, insurance purposes, a peace of mind,
100%.
This is what it is, you're not getting bumped off and stuff like that. And I think as a jeweler, they're always looking at jewelers like we set the market, you know, and the price is done, but US consumers want diamonds, so therefore it's that price. Like when you buy an engagement ring, you're buying a lot on the price. I can't make much margins on that. I can't. So it's not me, it's the world. So maybe this might be different, as what's Catherine's question earlier, is like Gen Z. I think I'm older millennials, but the Gen Z and younger generations, how they see diamonds, or you know, it might have a more level playing field.
Yeah,
you know?
if there's not the demand, if they're kind of a generation that starts to go, we're actually not that bothered, it might actually lower like general diamond prices, because there might be less demand, and actually then someone like De Beers has to think differently. So this is why it's going to be quite interesting to watch, I think, because yeah, maybe the experience instead will be that they get to visit the mine, or they get to visit the facility and watch it get made.
Yeah. So that's speaking of that, a couple of years ago, I don't know if you guys, so this would be the equivalent of Harrods where you are, Neiman Marcus. I don't know if you have that there, but one year they offered they have every year they have Christmas gifts. And they usually have, like, they have the one-offs where it's only the one in the world. So one year they had a jet that someone got for, it was pink metallic, it was rose gold jet. I mean, do I want to say jet or plane? Whatever. It wasn't a jet, it was a plane, whatever. Something that I don't know about anybody else. I can't get one. So that tells you the level of gifts that they had. But one year they had a gift where you would go to the mine, like to a mine site, where that gem was mined, because they already had the gem. You went to the mine to visit it. You sat down with the designer, the faceter, and then you sat down with the designer, and then you sat down with the jeweler. You went through the whole. It was an experience. I think it was like $300,000 or $400,000, whatever it was. It was very expensive. But I see I see that maybe they would want that experience more than they would want to just go to a store. Now, of course, that was very expensive because that store was offering it, but you could offer something like that on a smaller scale for people to go and visit, maybe Tanzania, and you pick out a Tanzanite, and you maybe have someone locally and keep it vertically integrated and have everything done right there on the site, never coming back to the States, but just having everything, or to Europe. Having everything done right there on the continent, I think that's a fantastic experience. And I could see that being something that these kids would want, rather than we may or may not want that, because that's going to also depend on our resources, whether we could have access to something like that. But I think that's great. And I never heard of another place doing that. And it's because it's too expensive. But they're going to be wanting to take trips to the moon. Like, that's coming up for them. They'll want that more than they want a diamond. And actually diamonds are in outer space. So sometimes they fall to the earth, the carbonara diamonds. So I don't know, maybe you go to the moon and you have the diamond mine it there. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't see diamonds going anywhere.
That's a great concept.
But they might be wanting to wear them differently. Like, I love rough diamonds. I like wearing them in jewelry. I think they have so much character. They're so much more interesting, and they're a lot less expensive because, as we all know, the value chain for diamond or any jewelry or gem, the value chain increases the price from the mine to the market. Every hand it touches, the price goes up. So a rough diamond is more accessible to people. But, as I tell people when they keep telling me about lab created and they don't want to disrupt the earth, I'm like, well, what do you think is holding your lab created diamond? Is it a piece of paper? Because you're using a metal, and so that was mined as well. So you're not going to get away from, even if you use plastic is horrible. It's horrible for the environment. So you're just not going to get away from, just be conscious. And really, at the end of the day, everybody should be worried about being really nice to other people. That's what you should be worried about. You want to be eco-friendly, be nice, be really nice to each other. That's the real eco-friendly to me at the end of the day. Let's be nice to each other.
So sweet. I have, sorry, before I go off and go, I might be a bit controversial, but let me start with a nice one and then I go to slightly controversial because it just came up. Number one, when you said earlier about the jewelry, when you talk to clients possibly, and let the jewelry talk to them. But in this COVID-19 world, most of my work is done online, and I like it that way because it's just easier. So communicating and not having touch, and because I don't have lots and lots of stock, of diamonds, it's usually, how do you communicate the talk? How do you communicate to the consumer, apart from price, the lab and the natural? What are quick or virtual ways of expressing the great properties of them to give that informed choice to the consumer in a COVID-19 world?
Right. So yes, so that's a good point, because you can't really interact with that that gemstone, first of all, because every computer monitor is different. So that's one thing. And you're not necessarily going to get the that connection with the gemstone, maybe. Now, I say that I have a story about Paraiba tourmaline, which is a beautiful like Windex green kind of tourmaline. And even if I look at that on a computer screen, it makes me nauseous. I don't like it. I don't like the energy that I get from that. So maybe you can get that energy from a computer screen. I don't know. Like, I know I get it from that particular type of gem. But to answer your question, you can talk about the properties, the metaphysical properties in the things that you are selling. Gold has a metaphysical property. Sapphires, all of the minerals have them. And you can sell it that way. Or you could just talk about maybe using the jewelry to mark an occasion or a milestone, coming out, surviving COVID. That's a milestone in itself. Not losing your mind right now during COVID, or keeping it all together, getting up every day. Like, use a story to sell your jewelry, and how, touching it, how that makes, I don't know how many times I touch my jewelry. Touching it and how that makes you feel. You could talk about the texture of the things that you're selling. This ring has a smooth texture, or it has a rigid texture, or a sanded texture. You could talk about that with your jewelry, because people can't touch it, but you can describe what they're going to feel when they do touch it.
Understood. Any more questions before we round up?
Yes.
Because I've got one slightly controversial question. I'll just prep you for that, just to let you know.
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool.
I want to ask, in this time, in terms of the job market, and how would they bounce, like, how were the companies affected, and like what could be the possible future of getting work after the pandemic or the COVID and within the jewelry industry?
I heard that the jewelry industry was doing quite well during COVID, and I can't say that about everyone. I've read and heard that in the United States in particular, there were the stimulus checks, and people were using it to buy jewelry because they couldn't go on vacation, and they couldn't use it on the things that they were typically spending money on. People weren't buying as many clothes or shoes or pocketbooks, because where are you going? So people were diverting their dollars to jewelry, because that was something that they could still enjoy. You can wear it at any time. I always talk about Zoom jewelry, like certain jewelry I'll wear for Zoom, because people are just looking at the upper half of you, and it's very impactful when you have certain pieces of jewelry. Sometimes when I'm choosing jewelry, it's like, would this look good on Zoom? Because that's our future, I think. But also, when we come out of this, if we look back through history, when we had an pandemic before, in the 1920s, people dressed up and got really fancy during that time, when they came out of this hole that we're in. So people could be buying jewelry to look to the future and say, this is how I'm going to present myself when I come out of COVID. So I think that the industry is going to recover nicely from this. And it's an opportunity to market differently, though. Just like Cassandra said, how do I sell my jewelry online? Because that is where the future has been cemented, I think, digitally, to make a lot of consumer purchases. And going into a store is going to be more of an experience, I feel like. And stores are going to have to step it up, because people, if they're going to be coming out now, they want an experience when they get to the store.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And what would you say, one more, what would you say about the future in getting work?
Well, that's a hard one, because I feel like this is also a time where the companies are scaling back. Even though they're selling more, they're finding ways to sell more without using the same amount of labor. And that's all across every industry, because we've been forced to use less labor to get the same amount of work done. So you have to really stand out in whatever industry you want to be in. You have to be something special. I think that's where it's going.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Catherine has a question.
Yeah, Catherine.
Oui. So my question is really more on the jeweler side. Basically, if you don't subscribe to something like Rappaport, where can you get the the current rate of diamonds to see if you're being ripped off or if you're getting a good price when you're trying to buy them. And also, what's the acceptable markups that you can do depending on the carat of the stone?
That's a good question. I was just on a call earlier today, and I had the same question about what to use besides Rappaport. And I was told, oh my goodness, I just had it. Someone just gave me some information that I can't find.
Because, for example, if I have a client who comes to me and says, I want a 3-carat diamond, my budget is 50K, let's say.
Mhm.
I am not even sure if that's enough, not enough to buy what he wants, because I first need to check what the prices are. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I mean the wholesale prices, the our prices, not the prices that you see on websites, so by Blue Nile or whatever. So I'm a bit puzzled as to how can I say to the client, yes, you have enough money for what you're wishing for, or for that amount, you only get these kind of stones, which will be, you know, a lower color or more included than what you're wishing for. There must be some tables or guidelines.
Yeah, I just put pricescope.com in the chat.
All right.
Because that's what I was told to use. Because I don't, I also do not subscribe to Rappaport.
Yeah, they're super expensive for what they are.
Yeah, I don't, maybe we should try to get like a group plan and we can all use it. But I was just told Price Scope, I haven't checked it out yet, but I was just given that information like 10 minutes before this call. I had another call and I was told to use that that website. So I hope that's helpful. Please communicate to me what you feel about that, because I'm going to go on that today also as well to check that out.
Thank you.
So I'm
Adrianne.
The person, you're welcome. The person who referred it to me, I trust them, but I have not looked at it myself. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thanks. And so in terms of markup, the price scope is just going to indicate me the market price.
I'm not sure yet. It appeared from what I remember her saying that it was, she said it was a watered down Rappaport. So Rappaport is the wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's going to give you maybe less options than Rappaport. Maybe you know, she did say also there was lab created and natural diamond comparison prices on there as well. So I'm really excited to be able to look at it, but I wasn't able to because I was jumped on this call. So I'll be curious to see how informative it is, because I'm excited about that actually.
Me too.
Okay.
Last chance. Any more questions before we wrap up?
Yes, I have a last question. Adrienne, what is your ring of the day?
My ring of the day. Oh, I'm wearing it. I'm wearing a black spinel and diamond. And this is a, it's from QVC. It was $30. It's like a Liz Taylor replica.
It's nice.
It's really a piece of glass, but I like the way it looks with the spinel. It's the, tell me the name, the French name, Etoile. Is it an Etoile ring? How do you say that? You know what I'm talking about. The
trilogy?
What is it?
La trilogie?
No, it's like you and me ring.
Ah, toi et moi.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I made my own. I made my own. So I made it with a synthetic, not even synthetic. This is just a piece of glass, but I just like the way it looks. And it's zoom friendly. It has like a nice zoom.
Yeah. But I mean, as long as you're happy wearing it, just go for it, you know.
There you go. So again, like
no
I tell
rules.
people, I mix the high and the low. I wear what I like. I wear what I like. And I'm very transparent about what it is I'm wearing. A piece of glass and a beautiful spinel.
And pearls.
And pearls, yes. Thank you, ladies, so much. And if there are any gentlemen present, I don't think so, but thank you for spending your afternoon with me and letting me share my knowledge and passion about diamonds. and Cassandra the invitation. Thank you so much to give me access to your audience and your platform. And I would love to interact with any of you through DMs on Instagram or my email address, which I'll put into the chat if you want.
Yeah, do that in the chat. Yeah, that'd be
And
really cool.
if people have questions about diamonds, I love answering questions about diamonds and gemstones, but diamonds are my favorite. And I'm on Clubhouse. If anyone is there, you can follow me there. We have very invigorating and interesting chats on Clubhouse. I'd love to have any of you as guests or co-moderators. And I wish everyone safety and well-being, and hope to see you again on this platform and other platforms.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, everyone, and see you soon
Yeah,
online.
see you soon.
Okay. All right, take care. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.